All right. Now, as soon as my co host joins, I will add him in so that we can get started. We greatly appreciate you guys joining. Can't wait to tell you about this podcast. Raquel, thanks for coming back. Thank you, Kathy. Now, let me see if I can add my partner. Ro. I am in the process of adding my co host so that we can split the screen and then we will jump into this. Deborah Dulce, thank you for joining. We appreciate that. And Kathy always tells me to smile. That's my fake. Okay. Okay, 1 second. Let's try to get Dwight on here. D!
Yo.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you good.
Good. Let's give the guy, the people a couple of seconds to get logged in.
Sounds good. How you doing?
Doing well, man. How you doing?
I'm good. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you're great.
All right, cool. I know that. I'm always am. Great.
I see your wife is watching, your number one cheerleader.
That's it, my number one. Good stuff.
Thank you guys for joining. We can't wait to tell you all about this podcast. We're excited. Let's give everybody a couple of seconds before we start.
Absolutely. CeeLo, what's going on? CeeLo. Yeah.
Chris Styles.
Just a couple more minutes. Yeah, I had to put on my Niner gear. You know my Niners. No.
I see you representing.
Yeah, they undefeated.
Oh, is that what it is?
You didn't don't act like you didn't know.
I don't watch football.
The only team who is not undefeated is them and the Patriots.
Okay, your mama's on. Auntie. Nikki.
Yeah.
People.
Good stuff.
Well, D, let's get started, man, because once this is over, then they can share it and watch it at their leisure and they won't have all the drag in the front.
Right. Mercedes, what's going on?
And that's Cleo. Hey, guys, so let me just do a real quick intro before Dwight introduces himself. You guys have been seeing a lot of posts on my page as well as his, and I'll get to our third partner in a second, about the podcast that we have coming. It's called TheSession. We wanted to give you the backstory on it before it launches this Friday, and we'll give you the details about the launch at the end of this Facebook Live. But we want you to know about the purpose of the podcast, the topics that we'll be discussing. It's a broad range of topics, so we thought it was very important that we introduce ourselves. I got a lot of supporters, I'll put it that way, not followers, but I have a lot of supporters who don't know who Dwight is, and Dwight has a lot of supporters who don't know who I am. And then you guys will share this Facebook Live, and you'll be sharing the podcast, with other people, and they won't know who we are. So we wanted to introduce ourselves. So if you already know who I am, that's fine, and Dwight as well, but there's a lot of people who don't. And because we'll be talking about so many different topics, we want you guys to know our qualifications, our backstory. We're going to be discussing a little bit of everything, and you guys need to know that we're qualified to do that. So, D, if you want to take some time, man, to introduce yourself, tell them a little bit about your history, man. These people need to know who you are because you're a brilliant dude.
Yeah, so you could tell my story better than I can. So if I forget stuff, go ahead and chime in. But what's up, everybody? My name is Dwight James Jr. I actually live in Tampa, Florida now. I'm from California. I'm working on my doctorate degree, got a degree in strategic leadership that I'm currently working on. I got some fellow doctoral students on here now. So, hey, everybody. I'm a family man, been married. Tim, this is coming up next month. We'll be married 10 years.
Congratulations on a decade, bro.
Yep, so we're getting that in. I got a beautiful daughter. She is 5 years old. And so we just have a lot of business experience, ministry experience. I have operated as a CFO for a for-profit and not-for-profit organization. I did the for-profit in healthcare for about 14 years, I
Hmm.
believe. The nonprofit was, I think, about six or
Hmm.
seven, somewhere around there. And so currently, I am a lead accountant for a major faith-based hospital based out of Tampa Bay area, Orlando area, rather. So that is a little bit of about me and what you can expect. Did I forget anything?
No, man, that was clear. And, I want you guys to know, even though he introduced himself, I just think so highly of all my friends. I don't really call people my friends unless I really mean it. And I've
Right.
known this guy for over 20 years. And for us to, partner on this podcast, you guys are in for a treat because when we talk about finance, you're talking to a CFO. When we talk about family, when we talk about, sports, when we talk about
Right.
entertainment, let me tell you guys a little bit about myself. Just like Dwight has marriage experience being married for 10 years, I was married for 20 years and now I'm single. I have two daughters. They are 18 and 16, so we're qualified to talk about parenting as well. I've been in the entertainment industry for over 23 years. Started off as a hip hop artist, won a Stellar Award as a songwriter, segued into acting. I've been acting in theater for 18 years, and in the last 4 or 5 years started doing more TV and film. My agent, I got to give him a shout out because he just logged in, Ralph Cooper with National Talent. They represent me. I'm
Big
so
mouth.
grateful for that. Also, I worked in corporate America, finance, in credit as well as payroll for 15 years full time. Now I'm an entrepreneur. I've been a full-time business owner for 5 years. So when we start talking to you guys about purpose, and Dwight, you chime in, dating and marriage and what
There.
else?
We did entertainment and sports, family life,
Finance.
finance,
When we
all of
talk to you guys about this stuff, please believe that we are not just randomly fishing for information. I am
right.
45, he is 35, but collectively, with all of our life experience and all of our training, you guys are in for a treat when it comes to this podcast. Now, Dwight, this podcast is really just a byproduct of our personal conversations over the last really like more so 10 years or so. We've been having a lot of healthy man cave dialogue, I'll call it.
Yeah.
But you go into more detail, man, about Mount Rubidoux and about Buffalo Wild Wings and how our relationship has sharpened us.
Well, we've been friends, Tim, for probably what, over 20 years, at least
23.
23 years, somewhere around there. The last 10 years, I would say, has probably been real, uh, more strategic, more intense. And like you said, we would do the Mount Rubidoux. For those of you who are not familiar with Mount Rubidoux, it's a 3 mile hike up a mountain. And so Tim and I would do that sometimes 2, 3 times a week. And it was for fitness, but it was also for just discussion and dialogue. There was a lot that Tim was dealing with. There was a lot that I was dealing with. So that Mount Rubidoux experience was crucial for us to keep our sanity.
Let me say something. Hey, let me jump in. Hey, when I tell you, now, I'm kind of giving you a little, we're giving you the session on the introduction to the session. But check this out. Like one of the things we talked about in one of the podcasts about health was about mental health and how therapy is necessary, blah, blah, blah. So our walks up that mountain 3 times a week, when I tell you that it was therapeutic for me, now I had already went to a psychologist for a year because there's nothing wrong with seeing a psychologist. If you get shot, you need to go to the hospital and see a medical doctor. And
There
so
you go.
life, can have an effect on us. And so I saw a, qualified therapist, but watch this. Dwight's wife, who's watching, she's a therapist. And this dude is getting a doctorate and he's, you know what I'm saying? Like we sharpened each other. I would leave
Right.
that mountain and go get in my car and tears would be coming out of my eyes. I got help. So go
Yeah.
ahead, D.
No, and see here. Well, let me give you the quick backstory. We were supposed to be running up the mountain, but one of us named Tim decided we should walk. You know,
I don't. Okay, go get.
no, but those Mount Rubidoux walks were like therapeutic, like you said, and so we was able to just vent, get a lot of stuff, and it was like iron sharpens iron. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So that's what that process was all about. And also, we did when we didn't do Mount Rubidoux, we would do different Buffalo Wild Wings spots, and that was the same process. Talk about Buffalo Wild Wings for a little bit.
Thank you for saying that, because I don't want, we don't want anybody under the false impression that we were just health and fitness guys and we, had such great conversations that were life changing. We want to
Right.
eat too. I mean, and, we'd go to the movies and hang out and do that. But when it came to eating, we were on the keto diet at the time. So, we were on eating meat. So we would go to Buffalo Wild Wings. But aside from the food, we had part 2 of our discussions. And like my mom died in 2017, we were talking about that. His dad died, was it this year or last year?
2018, November.
A
Yeah.
year later. Like we were going through like real life issues. And I know I'm kind of giving you the session ahead of time, but like, I think that when you guys watch this podcast, when you listen to it, excuse me, it's going to inspire you. One, if you don't have partners that you can talk to, you need to get one. It's healthy. I think it's going to inspire you to build strong relationships.
Yes.
I think it's going to inspire you in your health, your mental health, your marriage, your relationships with your children, your finances. When this dude starts talking about budgeting, and this is what he does, and he calls it a spending plan so he can be nice and put a little bit of sugar in the, castor oil so that it goes down smoothly, it's going to make your life better. Anything else about Buffalo Wild Wings, bro?
No, you hit it on the nail, and then it was just that empowering one another type
Yeah.
of deal. Both of us had to make major decisions that we'll talk about in our podcast,
Yeah.
but we had to make significant decisions, and most of those decisions were made over some hot wings,
Okay.
some lemon pepper.
Exactly. Now watch this, guys. Lemon pepper, Buffalo Wild Wings. And so, while we were making these major life decisions as men, and it's just so healthy. And one thing that Dwight alludes to in the podcast is that, in the multitude of counselors, the best decisions are made. And many people, many of us sometimes are so isolated that we don't, open ourselves up to receive the insight of other people. I can say right now, even though this dude is 10 years younger than me, it means nothing to me. There are times that his insight helped me make a critical decision when, my emotions wanted to dictate what I was going to do. So, that's a little teaser for you guys. But Dwight, our conversations did not culminate into a podcast by our choice. That was something that was introduced to us. So we do have a third partner. Like you see Dwight James Jr., Timothy Teach Jones, you're going to see us, and we're going to do more lives to kind of, keep some balance with the podcast. So you have the audio, but you also have some visual. But there's a third partner that introduced this concept to us, and she does all the editing and, all of the behind the scenes stuff. She handles all that stuff. Her name is Amber. And when you go to her Facebook, it's Amber Harold Toby, but she also has one called Amber Nicole. She is an author. She is a recording artist. She is a mother to a special needs child. And the name of the book, Dwight, is?
Hey, Jasmine, let's go to the park.
Yeah. Do you have it? If you don't trip. I was going to bring it.
I don't have it right in front of me, but I do have it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and if you don't have the book, listen, I highly recommend that you do get it. It is an excellent book. My daughter has read it. We've read it to her. She's read it to herself. It is an excellent book. Again, it's called Hey Jasmine, Let's Go to the Park.
Yes, and it's available on Amazon.com and wherever books are sold. Just type in Hey Jasmine by Amber Nicole, and you'll find it. So we gave you some information about her, but we want to tell you a funny story about how this whole podcast came about. because we've been friends with her for over 20 years as well. And again, I was a recording artist. Her and her sister, they were recording artists, and we toured together. We were both signed to a label, CSR Entertainment, years ago. But Dwight, one day she texted us and asked us both to come to her house, and she wanted to talk to us. What happened?
Well, she sends this text saying she has this idea, something she wants to talk about. And you know me, I was very apprehensive. So I'm like, we have this group text that we're, chiming back and forth in. But Tim, I'm texting you on the side trying to figure out, do you know what this is about? I don't want to get locked into nothing.
Yeah, and it's
Now,
like suspense.
yeah, so you've already heard us talk about Buffalo Wild Wings and, you know, using that as our empowerment zone. Well, we agree we'll go to Amber's house, we'll hear what she has to say. Well, we walk in, and Tim, what was on the table? Buffalo
It
Wild
was wings.
Wings. It was wings. It wasn't just wings, it was Buffalo Wild Wings.
I
Come on,
know. I'm like, are you trying to intoxicate me with some wings?
So now we're like, okay, here we go. My guard is already up. Tim got one foot already out the door.
Jesus have mercy.
And he's like, okay, what is this that's getting ready to take place? So then she begins to unveil this plan
Yeah.
regarding a podcast. And so at first I was like, I don't know about this. I'm not too sure. But Tim, the longer she talked and I really heard her heart and mindset, her
Yeah.
vision behind it.
Yeah.
I mean, we jumped on board right away and was like,
Yeah.
we have to do this.
Yeah. Let me jump in, bro. Like when Dwight says she unpacked it for us, this was not our idea. It's actually a great idea. It just wasn't our idea. But when she expressed herself and said, I've been eavesdropping on conversations that you guys have been having for a long time, and single mothers need to hear that, and young men need to hear that, and husbands need to hear that, and fathers need to hear what you're talking about, and teenagers need to hear. They need to eavesdrop on these marital, family, finance, fitness, career, strategy, planning, winning in life conversations. And the more she talked, I started sucking on my little my wild Buffalo Wild Wing. And I said, you know what? That's true. We're being selfish if we're
Yeah.
withholding, if we're reading all these books and, doing all this work and like bettering ourselves. And the man then went and got a master's, and that's where he met his wife. And now he's getting his doctorate. And I'm hosting TV and I'm acting and I'm doing film, but I'm juggling being an entrepreneur and doing what I have to do until I can do what I want to do. And I'm raising 2 daughters and I'm taking them on daddy dates. And I'm trying to be the first boyfriend, so to speak, that shows them how a man's supposed to treat them. If we're doing all this and we're not sharing it, then woe be unto us, because that's being selfish. So that's what sold me on it, D.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. When she unpacked it, just the details of it. And see, the thing is, Tim, we don't realize who is hearing our conversations.
Yeah.
No, and so our idea was to bring a different perspective, a different viewpoint on different issues and different topics. You have daughters, I have a daughter. And so what does that look like now, trying to raise daughters, trying to raise children in the environment that we're currently in?
Right.
Now, one thing I didn't mention, which I probably should have, and people are going to get on me for that, was that I'm a pastor, and so I'm in ministry. And so if I'm doing all this ministry and mentoring and this is another opportunity to just increase that reach, to reach as many people and impact as many people as possible.
Yeah, I love it. And I know we kind of alluded to it, guys, and we're going to give you a chance in a moment to ask questions and to, make some suggestions. Just hold off on that for a second. But I think we alluded to the purpose of the podcast, and I think just us expressing ourselves lets you know that our whole intent is, I think Dwight has said it best. If you follow him, and please follow him on Instagram. Is it Dwight James Jr.?
It's at Dwight James Jr. Yeah.
At Dwight James Jr. If you don't follow me. I'm at Timothy Teach Jones. But if you follow Dwight, he posts a lot about winning in life. So if I had to summarize what the podcast was about, is we want to use everything that we've learned and all that we've developed through the highs, the lows, the peaks, and the valleys. We've been hurt just like you. We've won and we've lost. We've lost parents just like you. We've been divorced just like you. We've been married. We have some winning strategies, and we want to share that with you to help you win in life. The beautiful thing is it's coming from a place of purity. We're not asking for anything. A podcast is just like us taking time out of our day to put all this information together and then give it to you for free. So that's a win-win. Dwight, did you want to add anything about the purpose of the podcast?
No, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. The purpose of the podcast is to help you as a viewer win in every area of your life. You're going to learn how to win with money, how to win in relationships, how to win with friends, as a family person. We're going to talk about everything. Tim, we talk about sex.
My God. We talk about it. Win.
You have to talk. We talk about there's nothing we won't discuss. And so we bring it from a different perspective. Both of us, Tim's background is faith-based, but we bring a faith-based mindset plus just a cultural mindset from our backgrounds.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, Dwight, and I keep mentioning him because I'm just grateful, that he's my co-host in this event, this project. I love that he mentioned faith-based, but one thing I like about him as a person that has nothing to do with a podcast is he's very practical. If you've ever talked to Dwight and you ask his sister Nikki, you ask his mama Yolanda to chime in, they will tell you, this joker shoots from the hip. You start talking about finances, he's going to ask you, do you have a job? He's going to break it down. Everything is going to be very practical. So when we talk about sex, we're not coming from, a perspective that is off in the clouds somewhere. We're talking about where we live. This man is married and can have sex whenever he wants to. I'm single. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about celibacy. We're going to talk about being single and selective. We're going to talk about money, but we're going to talk about it in a way that many of us, especially people of color, we never got a blueprint.
Right.
And we didn't have a dad or a mom, and many of us did, but there's a lot of people that never got a blueprint. Some people were never talked to about sex. So if you heard about it in the locker room, you got a warped perception of what it was, and you went out, and what did you do? You made mistakes. And when you have an accident, you crash and you get in trouble. We want to help prevent accidents.
And we're going to talk about health.
Yeah.
And how with health, Tim, we just finished this podcast a few days ago.
Yeah.
Talking about the importance of the family secrets. And for some reason, in different cultures, it's a sign of weakness if you admit to the family that you have something going on.
Yeah.
And so we talk about that. We talk about taking care of yourself, eating right. We talk about the silent killer, sugar. I'm going to just throw that one out there. That one is free, no charge. Sugar is killing some of us.
Come on.
And we talk about all of that in this podcast. I am excited that y'all finally get to hear this. I've been getting emails and texts, phone calls. When is it coming out? Y'all been posting these pictures. I'm seeing all these little videos. Well, now it's here. And so, we're just glad that you have hung in there with us. You've helped us. So, thank you again for your support. Thank you for liking this video.
Yeah.
Share this video. Let everybody know about this podcast.
Yeah. And guys, and hey, Auntie Diane, she's on. And Carl, what's up, bro? We also want to know, what do you want us to address? Like, if you can make some comments even now, what are some topics that maybe you are going through, or someone or your child or your parent, or it's related to your spouse or your marriage, or any area of your life? We are literally unpacking topics. There's nothing off limits, so we're talking about everything. But what questions do you have for us? What are some topics, if you want to type in a word or type in a phrase or a specific topic that you say, hey, make sure you guys address this? Because some of you, and I'll keep it 100, there are single moms, and you're raising young men, and their fathers are not in their lives, and they may not necessarily listen to you when it comes to certain things. And you say, hey, Tim, Dwight, make sure you guys talk about this. Or there may be something that you're going through in your marriage or as a single person, and you say, hey, nobody really talks about this. I haven't heard any books about it. Make sure you guys talk about that. Throw some topics at us right now that you would want us to discuss. And I know that there's only a certain amount of people on right now, and this will be watched tonight and tomorrow and the next day. But as you're watching this, even in the future, type in comments. We will definitely read them.
Yeah, Tim, the first episode, which will be launched this coming Friday, that first episode, we talked about purpose.
Yeah.
And we talked about the importance of a mentor and having that person to connect with.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing with you and I is our relationship, our friendship has evolved to, initially it was, probably more like a mentor mentee, and now it's just, you're just straight up G.
Yeah.
And so it's just, there's no distance, between this. And so I'm just excited for y'all just to learn purpose, discover purpose. Mercedes writes, several of my clients have difficulty with finances. So we're going to discuss finances. We're going to discuss debt strategy.
Yes.
I'm a big Dave Ramsey person. I'm actually a Dave Ramsey Solution finance coach. So a lot of my perspective, a lot of things I will talk about as far as finances is going to come from that type of mindset, the baby steps and things like that. So Mercedes, that's a great question. We will cover that in this podcast.
Yeah. And guys, if you're writing this down and maybe you're just real good with technology and you can remember, on Friday, this Friday, November the 1st, the first episode of the podcast will launch. Now on YouTube, when you look for it, you have to type in hashtag TheSession show. But the session is capital T, H-E, and then capital S. It has to be typed that way because when you just type in the session, there are hundreds of the sessions out there. So if you want to find our particular YouTube channel, type in hashtag the session with a capital T and an S and then show at the end. You'll see our logo. It's blue and it's a silhouette of Dwight and I. He's sitting on the right. I'm sitting on the left. We have hats on. You'll know it's us, and it says the session. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way we can keep you guys abreast to what's going on. And as we add new content, we're not just going to be adding podcasts, but we're going to be doing live shows like this and then other events that Dwight's doing in Florida, things that I'm doing in California, just to keep you guys inspired. But if you want to know where else you can find the session on Friday, it'll be on Apple Podcast. It'll be on Breaker. It'll be on Castbox and Google Podcast, Spotify, Overcast, Pocket Cast, and whatever cast you have, you will be able to find the session.
Anywhere where you normally listen to a podcast, you'll be able to find the session. And you can even go now as far as to our YouTube page and subscribe now. There's already some videos, some little snippets that are up there of Tim and I. And so you can subscribe now so that when it hits on Friday, you don't have to go looking for it. You'll get a notification that the session is now live.
Dwight, there's somebody named Crystal James. She typed in balancing personalities in relationships. So we're going to talk about that as well. And here's what I interpret. And Chris, if I get this wrong, then forgive me. But when Dwight and I talk about stuff, this is how we address it. When I read that, I don't just hear marriage. I hear relationships. So there are people who can't get along with coworkers. There are people who need to improve their lateral relationships, their relationships with their children. I have a very close friend of mine who's going through something very serious right now with a teenage daughter. And that's real. And because of the situation, it has affected the communication of the household. So yes, we'll be talking about marriage, but we'll also be talking about family, coworkers, business relationships. You know, we got to know how to manage our emotions so that we can maximize our profitability and our potential in this world. And you got people that you do business with and they're hotheads. And as soon as things don't go their way, they don't believe in negotiation. They believe in evacuation and they run, they leave. So yes, Crystal, balancing personalities and relationships, we're going to talk about it.
No, that's key. And like you said, but part of that relationship aspect is being real. You got to
Yeah.
be real with yourself, real with each other,
Wow.
and so we have to deal with that. It's friendships, it's dating relationships, marital relationships. It's all part of that. It's all connected.
Yeah.
It's
I
all
love it.
connected. So yeah, hey, Mrs. Wilson or Mr. Wilson, not sure which one that is, but good to see you.
And
Well,
I call her my mom. She helped raise me. Kathy Sandifer says, "Where was y'all when I was younger?" Hey, it's never too late, to get this information. So yes, thank you for the compliment. But we want everybody to know this is for people of all ages. Dwight, you asked a question. Let me quiz you and see if you remember. You asked a question when we did the Purpose podcast. And do you remember what you said when you asked about age and expiration dates?
yeah, I said, is there an age limit on when someone can pursue their purpose?
And the answer obviously is no, but we want all the viewers to know as you're watching this podcast is not for Black people. It's not
Right?
for men. Like I had one particular young lady said, I know this is for the guys because they saw the photographs of us in the barbershop. So they assumed that it was barbershop talk like FUBU, like for us, by us. And that's a misconception. It's not for men. It's not for young people. It's not for business people. It's for everybody.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's true. Hey, Jazzy, I just saw you pop up, but it's for everybody. I had someone recently down here ask me about, you know, will my sons be able to learn from this? What about my daughters?
Come on.
Listen, everybody. Now, it's Tim and I, so, it's like a male approach, a male perspective, but at the same time, you can still learn a lot
Yeah.
from it. And
Yeah.
so, even if what we're saying, because everything we say, you're not going to agree with,
Yeah.
I guarantee you, when I start talking about budgeting and getting your financial affairs in order, you're probably not going to like me too much.
Yeah.
But if it's something that we say that you think can help someone else, then by all means, share it. Let this message get out because if you might have all the answers, but I guarantee you, people you deal with don't, and this
Yeah.
is stuff they need.
Well, Dwight, he made a very good point when he said, um, this is from a male's perspective. Watch this. Another part of Amber's pitch to us as we sit at the table, we sat at the table like this. We were completely suspicious. We didn't even want no wings. It was like, why did you lure us to your house to talk us into doing what? But part of her pitch was when you look at The View, the TV show, all women. When
Yeah,
you look at The Real TV show, all women. When you look at the talk, for women, that's beautiful. I love women and I love a woman's perspective. That's not the point. The point is we need to keep this thing balanced, and we also need a male's perspective. And that's one of the things that's wrong I don't want to just say America, in the world, is not having a strong male figure in the house. So Dwight and I volunteer to come and say, hey, we have a lot of experience in these areas. We want to come and take time out of our schedule to share. This is for your sons and your daughters. This is for your wife. This is what your wife means when she says this. This is how often your husband needs sex. Dwight, one of my favorite conversations was when we were talking about, was it marriage?
yeah, yeah. It was
And I
no.
said, sometimes you just need to go ahead and take her in the bathroom before work, and you don't have time for a lengthy sex. You just need to get a quickie in. We're gonna talk about it. If we don't talk about it, who's gonna talk to you guys about? Who's telling you? Who's giving you information about life if we're not talking about it? So again, I love that Amber came and said we got all these shows with women, and the
Yeah.
shows are very good. But we also need to know, and we want to know what a man is thinking, and with all of their experience and training, help us see things from your vantage point.
And that's all this is about. So far, now we have recorded about 6 episodes
Oh yeah.
so far. Now, what was your favorite one we've discussed so far?
Oh my God. Well, let me be honest with you, because Dwight and I always say this after each one. We do about two every weekend. And they'll be coming out, I believe, either weekly or bi-weekly. We'll get to that and share that with you. But to answer Dwight's question about my favorite, Dwight, we always say after we record one, man, that was my favorite. It was better than the last one. I think mine was dating, because that's where I live. So purpose was great. I mean, that applies to everyone. The health, the marriage, all that was great. But my favorite was dating, because I see a lot of singles crashing. And, you know, I don't know, Dwight, if you remember about a year ago, I was doing a lot of singles circle videos on Facebook, because there was a heavy burden on my heart to see people that were in my world win. You know, and we were making statements like, some people are dating when they need to be healing. We were making statements that, you know, you don't have to kiss a whole bunch of frogs to find a king or a queen. And so when we had this conversation, I mean, even Dwight helped me. He didn't know it, but I'm not going to tell you what he said. But he made a statement about, you know, it had something to do with being selective, but having some balance with that as well. So I'm not going to go into no more detail. What was your favorite podcast so far?
I think all of them were my favorite. I don't know if I have a select one. I would probably say number one, our first episode, only because it was that first one talking about purpose and mentorship. And with that, we talked about jumping. Remember, and the significance of jumping. I don't want to give too much away, because I need you to listen to the podcast. But it's another. We talked about having that parachute. When are you ready to jump? Because if you jump prematurely, you're going to fall. And so that was significant.
Yeah, man. Dwight, I don't know. Like, I keep, you know, we're going back and forth about giving too much and teasers. I don't know how much more we should give. You know, if you have any closing remarks, go for it. But we want you guys to tune in on Friday. And because it's a podcast and you got to go to work and you got to take care of your family and you got things to do, you don't have to listen on Friday. You can wake up Saturday morning while you're laying in the bed and listen to it. But listen to it and share it with your family. You guys got some people in your life that are going through some things. This podcast is not just for you. You already know some family members and friends, their finances are in a disarray. Their marriages are crumbling, or maybe they're singles, and every 2 months they're posting on social media. They got a new boyfriend. Here go me and Frank. Frank is a fool. 2 months later, this me and Eric, and then 2 months. So the information we're sharing, please share it with the people that you love, because it's free and it can help them.
Yeah, and listen, as we wrap this up, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Also, remember, Friday, November 1st, is the first episode of The Session. That's the day it's going to launch. Now, as we film these and record these, and you have questions for us, reach out to us. Send us a DM or send us a message. You can follow Tim at Timothy Teach Jones. You can follow myself at Dwight James Jr. You have Amber at
Amber Nicole.
Harrell Toby, or at Amber Nicole. And also, you can email us. The email address is ineedthesession@gmail.com. Again, that's ineedthesession@gmail. And so if we finish this recording and you say, oh, I forgot to bring up this topic, or, oh, I want them to discuss this,
send it to us.
Just send it to us. Let us know. Hit us up.
Love it. D, you good?
I'm good.
Hey, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We love you guys. We appreciate you. On behalf of Dwight James Jr., I'm Timothy Teach Jones, and we will see you when we see you.